Okay, so what are they doing for her leg? There was the treatment name. What are they doing? You don't know. Why?
Please mute your mic, so please let's mute our mics. Thank you.
Okay. Can you see my screen now?
No.
You can see my screen, yeah?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So there's something called last index of, and this would basically return, okay, I think this is a string method. It's also an array method. So, but it will basically return the position of that particular string in the array. So let's see that, Sha. Let's say, let me comment this two out, and let me save this in a variable. So let's say position. I think this will basically return position, the index, I think. So yeah, this is returning the position. So the index basically. So this is returning the index, but what I wanted is to get the item. I don't want to give it this item. So what I'm supposed to actually do is the array dot length -1. So let me say fruit. Now I'm trying to get a single fruit. So this should get me the last item in the list of the array. And I think this should already make sense to you. Okay, this is the position. Fruit dot length. Okay, the length, sorry. Okay, it's to get the position. Yeah, because fruit dot length is already returning a number, not a string. There's a method that should actually do this. Let's see. That's the size.
I think it should be four.
Okay. The method. Anyway, let me leave that for now. Okay, so let's just proceed. But I don't know, the person that asked the question, I think I answered your question already. I was just trying to get a single method that should do that. But there is actually. So this basically returns the index, right? Because the length will basically return the total number. It's returning a number already, so it won't return the string. Yeah, okay, so let's continue. So there are a couple of methods like the pop, array.pop, let me this. So we have pop, we have push, we have shift, we have on shift. So these are different array methods that does different things depending on what you want it to do or what you want to perform on the array. So I'll just demonstrate a couple of this, and then with time you would get to when the need arise, basically, you can find what method that would work for you at a particular time. But you just need to like understand some basic. And like I said before, you don't need to have everything offhand. You can see me going to W3 school, or you can go to MDN or any to check for methods, right? Array methods and some things, because I don't necessarily need to have all these things offhand for me to um um in fact, nobody will tell you that they practically know all of these things, as long as it has to do with code, right? But Google is your friend. And then there are a lot of resources that would help you. So when you need something, just know the most important thing is know what you want to do, right? If you want to do a particular thing, know that, okay, I want to find so thing in an array, or I want to get a specific thing from an array or from an object. Okay, is there a method that actually does that at a go? Then you can go online and type, do we have a method that does this in JavaScript? If it does, you will see it. Google will just pop it out for you, and then you can see the usage. So if you go to W3 school, you can already see that when I click on array.length, it's going to show me example of how this thing is used. So W3 school is actually a very good resource if you're learning JavaScript. There's also MDN, and so many of them basically. But this is good because it will show you, it tell you the length, it returns the size of the array, and then it shows you an example. So this is like a fruit example. Okay, I didn't even see this when I created the fruit array. Okay, so we already have a fruit array here, and it's already telling you how to go about using the array.length. And you can click on try it yourself, and it will basically pop up this thing for you. Ignore the HTML side that we have here. It's already telling you that the array, this fruit array, the length is 4. So the length property returns the length of an array, and it returns 4 for you. So you can even do practice on this place, even without having to write the code. But the good thing, the most important thing is that you don't rely on this, because you may not really learn it. If you leave here, you forget it, right? I'm not saying forgetting is a bad thing, but if you want to actually be able to do a couple of things, you need to try to practice hands-on, type it yourself, do it yourself, try to manipulate it yourself, right? On your code, in your VS code, right? Like I'm doing now. So yeah, so we have pop, we have push, we have shift, we have unshift. So for the pop, we use it to like remove an item from an array. So let's say, for instance, the fruits array, I want to remove, okay, let me leave the fruit alone. Let's use the boys array. I want to remove age, because I want to remove 20, because 20 for me is not part of what I need. So I want to remove it, right? Okay. So what do? I just need to call boys, and then I call the pop method on it. So if I call pop, and then I don't even need to pass anything again. So if you see, it's even giving us a prompt. It says it removes the last element from an array and returns the array. So if the array is empty, undefined is returned, and the array is not modified. Okay, sorry, it removes the last element from the array and returns it. So if we console log this, it should return. Let's see what it returns for us. What did we log? Okay, it returned an object. So okay, hold on, let me assign it to a variable. So popped. So console log popped for us. Okay, so yeah. So why did it return an object before? Anyway, okay, so it's basically removed the last item from the array and logged it for us, right? So it's picked up the last item, removed it from the array, and logged it for us. So another thing is, if I now say, after popping this now, if I console log the array, I should no longer see that 20 inside of it. Sorry. Console is not okay. Sorry. Console.log. Okay.
Um, Mary, please, can you check the chat? Some
Okay. Yeah, please. Like I said before, I tried console.log boys.at. So I run the last fruits. Okay. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Okay, at minus. Okay, at yeah. So that's fine. That's good, Ajibola. Nice. Console.log fruits.slice 0. Okay. Okay, cool. I mean, it's good that you are already trying a couple of things. That's nice. That's amazing. Thank you, Ajibola and Richard. So yeah, so another thing is there's no one way of doing things as well, right? When it comes to writing code. So you can achieve one result with two different methods or different, in fact, with different methods, right? I can write code to arrive at a particular destination. Another person will write the code to arrive at the same destination, but with different syntax, different methods, different lines of code, different ways to achieve it, right? So you can actually achieve something in different ways. So yeah, it's good that you're already trying out some of these methods that are here, right? And then seeing what it gives you. So you can actually do it as practice, even if you don't need it for anything. You can just go, okay, what does this method return? What does this do? What does this do? These things, they are all there for us to basically use, right? So yeah. So like I was saying, when I popped, I did array.pop here, right? So we've removed 20 from the array. So array.pop basically removes the last index of the array, removes the last item in the array, and then returns that particular item. So what we have in popped is the item that was removed from the array. But what happens now is after we have popped, if we console log this array, boys, what is now left here, what is now remaining here, does no longer contains the 20. And that's what we can see here on the screen, right? You can see that in the array that is now returned, there's no longer 20. But before the pop, if I console log before the pop, you will see the full array, right? You can, if I do console.log and I say boys, then and then I log this and I run it, sorry. Yeah, okay. So I did the first console. Let me put string so that we can differentiate between them. So original array, original lists, then new lists, right? So let's see the difference between the original, the last list and the, oh, sorry. So if I run, you can see now. So the original list is this one that has 20. And then the new list is this one that no longer has this 20. Just because I call this pop method on the array. So, so that is for pop. Now let's try the push method. So if I do array dot push, that's the, so if I do array dot push, so what array dot push basically does is that it adds an element, or it adds a new item to an array. So let's say, for instance, I want to increase the length of this my array. I want to add more things to the array, right? So you can use the array dot push. So when you call the push method, and then so inside this the method, you will now add whatever string you want to add inside. So can now say, you know what, let me leave this pop here and then put the push somewhere here, so that so let's do voice dot push. So I want to add a maker to the list now. So if I log, okay, I don't even need this. Let me unlog this. Okay, no. Let me say current list or latest lists. Latest array. Then console log latest array. So if I run this, we're going to get, okay, no, but latest array. Okay, sorry. What's, what is console logging 5 for me? So this is the first one. Yeah. Then we popped this, then the new list, then this. Yeah, so this is boys.push. Append new elements to the, yeah. Okay, returns the length. So this basically returns the length of the array. Okay. Okay, so it returns the new length, not the, so it will add this and then returns the new length. So if I want to see the new array, so I just have to call the array again. So console.log boys. Yeah, that was my mistake. So it basically just returns the length for us, just like pop returns the last item, that the item it removes. Push basically returns the length. It will add the element, but then return the length for us. Then, so if you now want to see the latest, so this is added length. Let's say added length. So if I want to see the new array, I should now, this array is not defined. Yes, it is not. So, okay, so awesome. So now you can see that we now have an array that has a maker inside of it, right? Because we have used array.push to add a maker to the boys array. And then when we now logged the current array, we are seeing that this is what we now have. We no longer have 20, but we have a maker replacing 20. So these are some of the things you can actually do on an array. So I'll just leave this for now. Maybe we can do some of those things as like when you try to practice some of the other methods on your own, right? If you run into issues, please, you can let me know, or you can go to this place and see how they actually use them, right? The shift is basically used to remove the first element in the array, right? I mean, no, add the remove first element from the array, and then on shift, let me not make mistake. So the shift method removes your first array element, yes, and then shifts all the other elements to a lower index. So when we do array.shift, it will remove banana from this list, and then this will be left in the array. So you can try to like practicalize more methods on the array. So write your array, try to play around with it, call different methods on them, and see how it basically reacts or how it behaves with this thing. So the next thing, I'm trying to see if I can cover all that I have on the sheet before time goes. So we have objects. We've been on arrays. So we have objects. So objects in JavaScript, right? So you can so we also have object methods, right, in JavaScript. But yeah, let me just leave this for now. So basically an object looks something like this, right? So you can see, you might have seen, if you're doing API testing, you would have seen maybe your request body looking being added in curly braces like this. So those are being represented in a JSON format, so JavaScript object notation format. They are basically objects, right? So we have objects in JavaScript, in programming, actually, in most programming languages have objects. So in JavaScript, we have objects, and it basically looks something like this. So when you see something like this, you know that, okay, this is an object. And then the object can basically contain items, right? It can basically contain items like maybe name, and then it will have, let's say, name, Mary, right? You can have multiple items inside of it. I don't know why this name is always, so let me just say maybe user, then, okay, same thing. So maybe, let's say first name, and then we have last name, say Honor. Yeah, and then it's usually, so if you have multiple, let me assign this to a variable so that it doesn't keep shouting. Let me say human. Let me say girl. So this is a person. Let me say person. So this person is an object, right? So now this person's name is, the first name is Mary, the last name is Honora. The person has age of 12 years. Then the person has color. So an object can basically represent anything, right? So you can basically store informations of a person in an object, or somebody's data in an object, depending on how the data is, basically. And then so an object basically contains key and value. So it has a key value pair, right? So it has a key and a value, right? And then you can basically be able to access a single item from the object using dot notations. Unlike the array where you use the index to access an item or an element in the array. In the case of objects, you're going to be using the dot notation, right? Or the objects, is it object notation? Yeah, you're going to be using dot notation basically. So let's see that in place. So let's say color, maybe brown, right? So now I have person, right? And then this person's informations are here. But now I want to get the person's, let's say I want to get the person's first name or maybe their color from this object, right? How do I do that? Just like we say array, we call the array and then we put the array, this thing, and then we put the index inside that. For objects, we can say, so let me log it on the console. So console.log, I'm going to call the person, and then I'm going to use dot. So I don't know if you observed what happened. Once I put dot, it practically listed out all the keys in the person object for me. So once I call the dot, it's saying, okay, oh, which of the key do you want to access in the object? So which of the property of that object do you want to get, right? So now I want to get, let's say I want to get color. So when I say person.color, it will basically return the color of that person for me. So when I run this, I'm supposed to get brown. Brown is not defined. Sorry.
Shouldn't it be a string?
Yes, yes, it should be in a string. Yes, so that's why at least you can already see what not putting it in a string is doing already. So, yeah, so that's why he said it's not defined. So now when I logged it, you can see that it is logging brown for me, right? So when you call the key, it's just like you calling a variable, it will return the value for you, right? If I say comma, get me person dot age, it will basically return those two things for me, right? Brown and 12, right? So you can actually now use this to even make a sentence and say, okay, oh, my teacher's name is okay. So let me use the double quotes. My teacher's name is, can put comma, or you can do the concatenation and put plus. And then, so I will have to call person dot first name, comma, person dot last name. Yeah. I can now put comma too. So if I want comma that will show, you have to put it in a string. Yeah. Then I now do okay. Yeah, I have to put plus. Put another plus here. So that to avoid this thing. Then I have to now put another string. And she is I will now put another plus again. She's brown in color. She is brown in color. And, oh, sorry, I have to put this in a string. And we have less than 10 minutes again. And she's so years old. So now we just successfully used this person's information to make a sentence, right? And so it doesn't matter whether we come here and change this data. It will still make the sentence and print it for us, depending on whatever value is. So whatever value we decide to change here does not even affect anything that is happening here. And that's what we've tried to do, because we are not hard coding what is going on. That's why you can see me putting this, using this object here to do these things, because I don't want to hard code anything. So you might be writing tests and you want to write dynamic tests. You want your test to be dynamic. You don't want it to be hard coded, or you don't want it to be specific to a particular user or a particular item. You want this test to be able to run for maybe multiple scenarios or using just a single test. So you can basically do something like this, right? In this, I mean, it doesn't necessarily have to be like this, but you just have to like have this in your mind. So it's just like you're using a variable to maybe make things dynamically, right? So I just want to get the sentence. So yeah, you can see that. So she is 12 years old. There's no space here. So there need to be space here and here so that it will make sense. So there's also needs to be space here. And here. Yeah. And okay, there's a space here. Okay, so I'll just run this again. Okay, so here, my teacher's name is Mary Honora, and she's brown. And she is 25 years old. I'll be 12 years old. Yeah, so you can see that we're able to make this. So if I come here and change this person's name to maybe Emeka, and then I change this to Rose, and then I change this to maybe 100 years, and then I say this is white, and then I run this again, it's going to pick up that person's information. Yeah, so this now, our new teacher is Emeka Rose, and she's white, and she's 100 years old, right? So now this is an object. So there's also, so there are different object methods, right? So here, I'm trying to property name. I want you to give me object methods, right? Why are you telling me? Okay. So there's a method here to uppercase. So yeah, so you can use this to basically convert a number or a text, sorry, not a number, to uppercase. So maybe I want to return I want the first name to be returned in uppercase instead of lowercase. Instead of the lowercase it was typed in initially. So we can basically call our person dot first name now dot to uppercase or to lowercase. So this is lowercase to. So another good thing with VS Code Intelligence is that when you hit your dot, it basically brings up some suggestions for you, right? And these are methods, right, that you can basically try to do or like use to perform actions. Basically, some of them we've already seen, some of them. So this is dot includes. What does dot include do? It basically helps you to check if a particular thing is somewhere, right? And the return type is Boolean. It will tell you if it is true or not. So we want to check if, for instance, we want to check that first name includes let's say first name includes E. Let me just put it. First name includes E. If it includes, it will return true for me. The return type is Boolean. So the return type of this includes method is Boolean. So it basically will tell me if it is true or not. So yeah, Emeka includes E. So what if I say D? What will happen? So it says false. So Emeka does not include D, right? So there is also the to uppercase, right? That I wanted to show you before. So if I run this, I'm going to get Emeka in uppercase letters, right? If I say lowercase, I'm going to also get Emeka, all in lowercase at this time around, right? So just these are things you can actually do on objects, right? And many other things that you might want to get or do or things. You can even like maybe try to replace a certain thing. So I think I saw replace. Yeah, I want to replace it with maybe let's say gold. Okay, let me just do this. So if I run this now, dot replace first name dot replace. So let me see how this replaces a text in a string using a regular expression or a search string. So a string or a regular expression to search for. I think this should take in more than one item. Hold on. So this should take in more than one item. Should take in the search value, right? And then the replace value. So yeah. So we should actually say, let's say it should check for maker and then replace it with gold. Let's see. Okay, yeah. So if, for instance, I now log this object here, console.log person. So person is an object, right? So if I do the new object, let's see what it should now be. Okay, so this is not working like array that basically replaces the actual object. Okay, so yeah, so these are some of the things you can actually do on an object, right? And many of them that you can actually think of. So, but let's just move on because of time. We have less than 2 minutes. So the next one is functions. So what are functions? What are functions? So functions in JavaScript, right? Functions in JavaScript are basically a block of code that performs a specific action, a particular action. So a function can basically, you can create a function that is doing a certain thing. You can create a function that backs or a function that runs, or maybe a function that adds one or two numbers, or a function that subtracts a number from a number or does something basically. So functions are basically blocks of code that does a particular thing, right? And they usually have a return type because they would return something for you. So if, for instance, you have a function that sums of two numbers, that means the function would basically return the sum of two numbers, right? Now, after creating a function, you need to call that function for it to actually do what you want it to do. And that is what they mean by invoking the function. If you see